Hello. It has been a while, hasn't it? If you are new here, my name is Meg, and I am the yarn dyer and owner behind the yarn company Megs & Co. And if you've been around here for a while, welcome. I had an amazing summer. I wasn't necessarily planning on disappearing for all of summer, but yeah, I love summer. I'm such a summer bug, and I love the heat, being outside, just enjoying every moment that I possibly can. And I just really just didn't want to come inside. I didn't want to come inside. I didn't want to be in front of a computer. And so yeah, I just, once kind of the first few weeks started to slip, I was like, you know what? Let's just circle back in the fall. And that's okay. So here we are. It is fall. It is October. I cannot believe it's October. Like, I went from like, let's circle back in the fall to hello October. Crazy, absolutely crazy. So I thought I would kick off the return with some vlog style videos for October. I thought that would be really fun. So yeah, so I'm just gonna do some casual sit and stitching, sit and chatting, to just kind of get back in the YouTube groove. Yeah. So I am a knitter, I'm a crocheter, I'm a spinner. I'm holding some fiber here that I plan to spin up tonight. I'm a yarn dyer, so welcome to my channel. All things fiber craft. I feel like I have anything fibery in my hands anytime that I possibly can. So if I'm not working, if I'm not running around outside, I have some sort of fiber craft in my hands. Yeah, so today, this is like perfect timing. I subscribe to like a fiber of the month. This is from Le Mercier. Le Mercier. They do, I don't know, 12 days of fire, 12 months. I don't know what their club is called, but once a month they you can subscribe to it, and they send I did the fiber one. I think that they do like socks, so it's like it started off as like a sock set club, but this year they added fiber, and so I thought I would give it a try. I just thought it was just a really neat way to try, especially like different types of fiber, because you just don't know like not only what colors you're going to get and from what dyers you're going to get, but all the different breeds. So it's just a neat way to yeah, to just like get introduced to a whole bunch of different dyers, colors, and breeds. So this literally came in the mail today. Isn't it beautiful? It's very muted. It's got like a lot of like blues, greens, browns. I always love like a lot of times doing these kind of collections, because a lot of times these are things that like I don't think I would ever have picked this, but it's really beautiful, like, if that makes sense. That yeah, like I really like the way that this, like, the colors play here. So it's like I just tend to just go for the bright colors. So it's like this is probably just not something that I would have brought home, because I would have picked the bright splashy color. But I'm really excited about this because it is absolutely beautiful, and I think it's going to make like a really special yarn. So this is a 23 micron merino. So it's merino wool, but 23 microns does mean it's just a little bit on the coarser side. So 23 microns kind of puts it up almost to like a BFL. Depending on the BFL, it's even potentially a little bit coarser than some BFLs. A rambouillet, depending. So yeah, and I can definitely feel that, you know, it does have a little bit of toothiness to it. So I'm kind of excited to spin it because sometimes merino can be a little tedious to spin because it's very slippery. So while, you know, we love to knit with our super ooey gooey soft yarns, from a spinning perspective, those are not very fun to spin because they're just very slippery and slick. And so I'm kind of, yeah, excited that this is going to have like a nice tooth to it. I don't know like what the staple length is on it. So I have to pull some out and see, but yeah, so I'm going to start spinning this up tonight. I don't do anything fancy with my spinning. I feel like I just kind of stick with the fractals. I think that they just come out really pretty. Love the way that they come out. So what I tend to do is I will try to eyeball cut this in half as best as I can, and then I will weigh both sides, and then you know, kind of try to evenly distribute from there. And then usually I set aside the one full half to spin all in one go, and I'll spin that last. And then the other half is I will divide up. Sometimes I divide up into 3 pieces, sometimes 4 pieces. Usually it just kind of depends on like how easily, you know, it comes apart. If it's kind of coming apart really easily, I'll divide it up into a lot of sections, but otherwise I'll kind of just leave it into larger sections. But yeah, I usually try to get it into usually at least like 3 sections. And then I do a 2-ply when I'm done. Yeah, so that's really it. So right now I'm just kind of, I just unbraided it and I'm just kind of zhuzhing it apart. Because a lot of times, especially when it's been shipped, it gets just a little compacted. So I just like to kind of fluff it all back open. This is when you really get to see the color. And yeah, this is just very pretty. I think it's going to be just like a very like neutral color. I think it'll definitely come out like very, you know, kind of brownish once it's all like mixed together, but you'll still see like these blues and little pops of color kind of coming through. So it won't just be like a brown, it'll be a very interesting brown with lots of depth, and I think it's gonna be really pretty. And it's funny too, like I said, like I just tend to pick like these just, you know, bright flashy colors, but like I'll end up, this will be the kind of thing that like I wouldn't have brought it home, but like I'll spin this, and if I make something with it, this will be the thing that I wear every day because it's gonna go with everything in your wardrobe. So I always find that funny too of you know, I tend to like bring home the things that like are not practical. Okay, so I feel like it's kind of already wanting to divide, so I'm just going to do that. There we go. Okay, I feel like this side is much fatter, but I will get this on the scale, but it feels in my hand a little bit heavier. But one thing I do is I like to put a little knot onto the same end of each piece, because that way I know which end I want to start with for each of my pieces, because right now it's just a big old mess of intestines. Okay, so I'm gonna go get my scale and see where we're at. Okay, and I just used a jewelry scale for this. This is actually like the same style scale that I use to weigh all my dyes, so I don't think you really need something as precise for fiber, but I tend to go through these scales quite a bit because I pour water on them when I'm dyeing yarn and they die. So I tend to have one upstairs that's like new and nice. And I'll use it to like weigh my fiber, weigh my yarn, and then that way this is my backup for when I ultimately kill the one that's downstairs in my dye studio. I'm not like left stranded without a scale. I will run up and steal this. And then I will order a nice new one for up here in my yarn room. So anyway, but these aren't expensive. Like you probably don't need one that has this precision because this goes out to the 0.01 grams. But they're also not very expensive. I don't think this was more than like $20. Okay, I'm gonna quit rambling. I'm gonna turn this on. So I have it set to grams. Okay, so I'm just gonna see. And I do need to get it on like that tiny little platform. So I just like create like a little ball, and then I've got like this dish. Okay, so ball number 1, get it in the dish. Ball number 1 is 62. I feel like that's a lot, so I think ball number 2 is definitely going to be short. Ball number 2, 52. Okay, so I need to so it's 10 grams behind, so I need to add 5 grams. Okay. So this is where it gets interesting because, like, you know, if I just like I can't, you know, cut like a whole thing down the length, or it's gonna end up being like a whole strand down the length is going to be difficult to get 5 grams. But let me see if I can get like a nice thin, like almost like pencil roving section off this one. Oh my gosh, this is a disaster. Okay. Do. Just gonna wind this up. Okay, and then, so this was the top that had the knot on it, so I'm going to put a knot here just to mark that that this is my top section for this little bundle. Okay, we're at 58. 58. And I gotta retie my knot so I don't lose that. 58 and 57. I'm gonna take it. I feel like, you know, you can keep like trying to pass a gram back and forth, but I'm gonna take that. I feel like 58 and 57 grams is close enough to being split evenly for me. So this will be the half that, since this is like all one piece, this will be the half that I'll just save second and spin all in one go. And since this half now is already divided, I will just continue to, let's see, where is my top? So now I'll just continue to pull pieces from this. So this will be one piece. it not? So I'll always start each, when I start spinning, I will start each section from this same one. And then that way, like, I get a little bit more consistent, like, color striping. Okay. And then I'm just going to divide this one in half. So I'll mark these tops. I always like playing with like these little fiber nests. I don't know. I feel like this part is so much fun. Just like to, I just find these little nests just so satisfying. Okay, so I've divided this one up into kind of 3.5 sections, because this one was just like so tiny compared to this. But so I'll probably spin this one first, because that way, you know, there's always like that first bit where you're just kind of setting your wheel up, getting your tension. So I'll use this first, and then spin these, with each one starting with that knot, so they're all starting from the same end. That'll be the first bobbin. And then the second bobbin is I will just spin this one continuously, but again starting from that same knot end, and then they'll get plied together. So exciting to see